Hey everybody, Film Brown here at the Movies with Film. I'm going to talk to you about a film that really kind of harkens back to a lot of different harkens. One of the things that harkens back is to 1959, and I remember seeing it in 1960, 61 at a drive-in with, believe it or not, the film that sort of, well, Hitchcock was inspired by this film to a certain extent to make Psycho. That's what he said. So they were a double bill at the drive-in, and my parents, being the, he wanted to take care of me, didn't want me to get scared, said, you go to sleep in the back seat there while that's going on, and don't watch that movie, because that movie is, you just go to sleep. Well, I didn't. And I remember those seats back then, where the seats would move forward, so they had a slit down in the middle, right? So I could look through it, right? So, well, what's the film we're talking about here is William Castle's House on the Haunted Hill. Whoa, so that harkens back to one of the first films I ever remember seeing. I would have been, kind of a punk kid, little guy. I might have been 6, I might have been 7. I didn't count good back then, so I could have been 8 too. So who knows what I was at that. But I saw it. And, William Castle. This film stars Vincent Price. Now, story goes is that William Castle was talking to Vincent Price, and Vincent Price was a little bit depressed because he didn't get a role that he wanted, and somehow William Castle came out of this conversation pretty good. Had a 2-picture deal with Vincent Price to do this, and another one I saw when I was a little kid, The Tingler. Oh, I love that movie, The Tingler. I remember when I saw The Tingler the first time. I was over at a cousin's house, who I didn't know who was my cousin. You know how when you're little, go, we're going over to the cousin's house. Who is them guys? Never met them before, but they had a cool TV, and they also had a fish tank. And my dad was taken by that fish tank. And I was looking back and forth like I was taken by it too. So it was those fish tanks that had the metal pieces on the side, right? And it was a 5-gallon, but back then, wow, that was a big deal. So we went and bought one too, and got some cool fish to put in, some catfish, and some zebras, and some neon tetras and stuff like that. But all of that too, while the Tingler is going on. But we're not talking about the Tingler. I like the Tingler. We're talking about House on the Haunted Hill. Okay. Well, House on the Haunted Hill. You got Vincent Price, who doesn't get along with his wife, Carol Omart, okay, who was Miss Utah at one time. Okay, she was sort of brought into Hollywood to be, as many women were at that time, brought in to sort of compete with that Marilyn Monroe figure. Carol Omart didn't really catch on too well, She was in Spider Baby, so she caught on a bit, right? But she doesn't get along with Vincent Price. Vincent Price invites a bunch of guys to stay in this house. The House on the Haunted Hill house, which was one of those Frank Lloyd Wright houses. Okay, the exterior, was. And that's where you see them all coming in, right? And they're going to get money if they stay the night and do a good job and not dead-like at the end of that thing, right? And I don't want to go too far into it, right? Because you got some cool skeletons and stuff like that. Elisha Cook Jr. is in it. He's probably, to me, he's the real star of this thing. He at one time I guess stayed there before, and it kind of creeped him out and messed him up. So he's talking about, oh, look at that over there. There used to be blood there, but there is now. And things like, oh, look at that, right? So he's always like that. Oh, look at that stuff, right? And so you got all these people, Richard Long, you got Alan Marshall, Carolyn Craig. They're all come aboard, right, to stay in this haunted house. Well, there's a bunch of shenanigans going on here, not just with Vincent Price trying to scare the crap out of these guys, especially his wife, but I'm not going to go too far into it, but this Alan Marshall plays this David Trent, Dr. David Trent. Keep an eye on that guy, okay? He's sort of an important figure. The film got remade in 1999, along with another one of William Castle's films, 13 Ghosts. Not too hot. I'll tell you, the remake of the House on the Haunted Hill is a little bit better than 13 Ghosts was. Boy, 13 Ghosts. Stinko, really bad. Okay. But what did those others lack? Well, they lacked William Castle's sort of tongue-in-cheek, right? He was a guy who was out there to make a buck and did a lot of ballyhoo. Some of the films, House on the Haunted Hill, okay, use this Emirgo approach, right? Where at a certain point up by the screen there would be a box that would open up and then a ghost would fly across the audience. Oh, I would like to have been there on that thing, right? That would have been cool. And maybe some of you were, okay? But they had to stop that because kids found out about that and started, and I was shooting BBs at it. I mean, what the heck are they bringing that crap in, right? I mean, BBs and spit wads and you name it, they're throwing and try to knock the ghost down. So it became like a big piñata type of thing. Tingler was the next film that he made after that, and what he did in there is he got some seats randomly hooked up to electrodes. So that when people screamed and stuff like that, and you get scared, of course you know how it is infectious, right? When a person laughs, you laugh. When a person screams, you scream. Well, right? And electronically somebody's screaming next to you because they got shocked, whammo. Yep. Then he made 13 Ghosts, which I don't have any, but he had these cool glasses that you could put on, and you could see 13 ghosts. No more, no less. 13 ghosts. Then he had this Mr. Sardonicus, which had this deal where it ended with this horrible guy who had this horrible smile who gets cured, and can he open his mouth, or not, because he gets cured and he looks normal-like, but he can't eat. So the audience had a choice to have a bet, right? Thumbs up, do you let him eat and have a good time? Or thumbs down, let him die. Well, the betting, and the always was, let him die. So the version that got released out in Iowa, no doubt, was the kill him. I'd like to see the other one, because if he's eating and things, what's going to happen with him? Okay, I'd like to see that ending. I think you're going to like this film. I was looking through some stuff here, and there were actually lyrics written to the theme song. Okay, and it starts off at the beginning, but they didn't use them. They used the orchestral version. But the lyrics go like this, and I wish they would have used this because this is scary stuff. Okay, there's a house on a haunted hill. Ooh, got me going already. Where everything's lonely and still. Lonely and still, and the ghost of a sigh when we whispered goodbye. They got that rhyming down good. Lingers on, and each night gives a heartbroken cry. There's a house on a haunted hill where love walked. There's a strange silent chill. And there's memories. I like how they spelled that, memories. M-E-M-R-I-E-S. Memories. Okay. Memories that yearn. Okay. So for our hearts to return, and a promise we failed to fulfill, but we'll never go back. No, never go back to the house on the haunted hill. You know the way this film opens up, it's a black screen. You get all these people moaning and screaming. I love the sounds of that. It reminds me of Coffin Joe films too. Later on. And you'll hear those moans too if you see 13 Ghosts. You know, that was so popular that sort of inspired people to release sound effects records and sell them. And sell them. I had a few of these where it would be just like chains, like that, and all those sounds and things like that. Oh, sound effects. We're spoiled today. I mean, that was special to me. And I remember on Halloween, we'd set the speakers up in the window, and put a hokey ghost out there and play those sounds out there. And people got scared. I know that, and they ran away, okay? Because people got scared by that stuff. Today, you can't scare nothing for nobody. Okay. Well, House on the Haunted Hill, really a wonderful movie. William Castle knew his way around stuff. He made some other films, Straight Jacket. There's a great one. But he also was a producer too. He produced the Rosemary's Baby. He was the producer of Rosemary's Baby. He owned the the property to do that film. And the studio said, well, we'd like to have it made, but we don't want you to make it, okay, because they want a big budget. So guess who? They got Roman Polanski. Ooh, pretty cool. And the Hitchcock connection is there too with William Castle because of the way he did a lot of previews and things like that. Remember, Hitchcock showed up in his own previews. A weird guy went up that way. You know? Well, William Castle did that too. So they were really show business guys down to their toes. Well, enjoy House on the Haunted Hill. Takes us back to another, I said it harkens to something. House on the Haunted Hill was the very first intro that I ever did. Way back in 2002. Okay. Two. I always say it that way. Because it's just shiver my timbers, blow me down. And I can't believe that we're still around. Okay. Well, folks, have a good one. Let's roll 'em, Robin.